Good day everyone! Today I am going to present a short story in Africa titled In the Cutting of a Drink by Ama Ata Aidoo. I am Janessa May P. Ancheta, your presenter. Now let us first have the background of the work. In the Cutting of a Drink was published in 1955 by the feminist press at the City University of New York. The publication is made possible in part by public funds from the National Endowment for the Arts and the New York State Council on the Arts, and by a grant from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation. Ama Ata Aidoo's In the Cutting of a Drink is about a person relating his story of looking for his lost sister in a big city called Mamprobi. The narrator, Mansa's brother, is talking to his uncles in the story. He is telling about the things he experienced in the city while looking for Mansa. The narrator is from the country, so a lot of the city life is new or shocking to him. The narrator and Duayaw, the person helping him find his sister, go to a nightclub while looking for Mansa. This is a very new experience for the narrator. Some new things he experiences are dancing and watching women buy beer. But the most shocking thing is when he finds out his sister Mansa works there. Now let us proceed to the author's background. Ama Ata Aidoo, in full, Christina Ama Ata Aidoo, was born in March 23, 1942 at Abidzi Kiakor near Salt Pond, Gold Coast, now Ghana. Is a Ghanaian writer whose work, written in English, emphasized the paradoxical position of the modern African women. Aidoo began to write seriously while an honors student at the University of Ghana, and she won early recognition with a problem play, The Dilemma of a Ghost in 1965, in which a Ghanaian student returning home brings his African-American wife into the traditional culture and the extended family that he now finds restrictive. In No Sweetness in Here in 1970, a collection of short stories, Aidoo exercised the oral element of storytelling, writing tales that are meant to be read aloud. These stories and Anoa in 1970, another problem play, are concerned with Western influences on the role of women and on the individual in a communal society. Aidoo rejected the argument that Western education emancipates African women. In 1982 to 1983, she served as Ghana's Minister of Education. Aidoo published little between 1970 and 1985, when Someone Talking to Sometime, a collection of poetry, appeared. Her later titles include The Eagle and the Chickens in 1986, which is a collection of children's stories, Birds and Other Poems in 1987, the novel Changes, a Love Story in 1991, An Angry Letter in January and Other Poems in 1992, The Girl Who Can and Other Stories in 1997, and Diplomatic Pounds and Other Stories in 2012. Now let's proceed to the characters of the story. Meet our characters. First, we have the narrator. He went to the city of Accra to find her lost sister Mansa, and he experienced a major culture shock as he went to the city. Then we have Mansa, the lost sister of the narrator who did not finish her schooling. She went to Accra to search for work and did not come back for 12 years. We also have here Duayaw, a close neighbor and friend of the narrator who is currently residing in Accra, whom the narrator asked for help to find her sister. Then the girlfriend of Duayaw, the girl that Duayaw wishes to marry, but it is against the wishes of these people. She is as beautiful as sunrise, but she does not come from their parts. Next, we have the setting of the story. The story happened in the city of Accra. Accra is the capital of Ghana on the Atlantic coast of West Africa. Accra is the administrative, economic, and educational center of Ghana. The city contains the head offices of all the large banks and trading firms, the insurance agencies, the electricity corporation, the general post office, the large open markets to which most of the food supply comes, and the Accra Central Library. After 12 years of not seeing his sister, the narrator went to Accra to find her. In a nightclub on a Saturday night, where the narrator and Duayaw had a drink, he saw his sister Mansa working there. let's proceed to the plot of the story. The story started off this way. I say, my uncles, if you are going to Accra and anyone tells you that the best place for you to drop down is at the circle, then he has done you good. But I even do not know how to describe it. Are all these beings that are passing this way and that way human? Did men buy all these cars with money? But my elders, I do not want to waste your time. I look around and did not find my bag. I just fixed my eyes on the ground and walked on. Do not ask me why. Each time I tried to raise my eyes, I was dizzy from the number of cars which were passing. And I could not stand still. If I did, I felt as if the whole world was made up of cars in motion. There is something, somewhere, my uncles, not desiring to deafen you with too long a story. I stopped walking just before I stepped into the circle itself. I stood there for a long time. Then, a lorry came along and I beckoned to the driver to stop. Not that it really stopped. Where are you going? Asked the driver. I am going to Mamprobi. Jump in. I nearly fell down climbing in. As we went round the thing which was like a big bowl on a very huge stump of wood, I had it in my mind to have a good look at it, and later, Tuayo told me that it shoots water in the air, but the driver was talking to me so I could not look at it properly. He told me he himself was not going to Mamprobi, but he was going to the station where I could take a lorry which would be going there. Yes, my uncle, he did not deceive me. Immediately, we arrived at the station. I found the driver of a lorry shouting, Mamprobi, Mamprobi. Finally, when the clock struck about 2:30, I was knocking on the door of Duayaw. I did not knock for long when the door opened. Ah, I say, he was fast asleep. Fast asleep, I say, on a Saturday afternoon. How can folk find time to sleep on Saturday afternoons? I asked myself. We hailed each other heartily. My uncles, Duayaw has done well for himself. His mother in Sedwa is a very lucky woman. How is it some people are lucky with school and others are not? Did Mansa go to school with Duayaw here in this very school which I can see for myself? What have we done that Mansa should have wanted to stop going to school? But I must continue with my tale. Yes, Duayaw has done well for himself. His room has fine furniture, only it is too small. I asked him why and he told me he was even lucky to have got that narrow place that looks like a box. It is very hard to find a place to sleep in the city. He asked me about the purpose of my journey. I told him everything. How, as he himself knew, my sister Mansa had refused to go to school after classy try, and how my mother had tried to persuade her to go. My mother, do not interrupt me. Everyone present here knows you tried to do what you could by your daughter. Yes, I told him how, after she had refused to go, we finally took her to this woman who promised to teach her to keep house and to work with a sewing machine, and how she came home the first Christmas after the woman took her but has never been home again, these 12 years. Duayaw asked me whether it was my intention then to look for my sister in the city. I told him yes. He laughed, saying, You are funny. Do you think you can find a woman in this place? You do not know where she is staying. You do not even know whether she is married or not. Where can we find her if someone big has married her, and she is now living in one of those big bungalows which are some 10 miles from the city? Do you cry, my lord, my mother? You are surprised about what I said about the marriage? Do not be. I was surprised too when he talked that way. I too cried, my lord. Yes, I too did, mother. But you and I have forgotten that Mansa was born a girl, and girls do not take much time to grow. We are thinking of her as we last saw her when she was 10 years old. But mother, that is 12 years ago. Yes, Duayaw told me that she is by now old enough to marry and to do something more than merely marry. I asked him whether he knew where she was and if he knew whether she had any children. Children, he cried, and he started laughing, a certain laugh. I was looking at him all the time he was talking. He told me he was not just discouraging me, but he wanted me to see how big and difficult it was what I proposed to do. I replied that it did not matter. What was necessary was that even if Mansa was dead, her ghost would know that we had not forgotten her entirely, that we had not let her wander in the people's town, and that we had tried to bring her home. These are useless tears you have started to beat my mother. Have I said anything to show that she was dead? Duayo and I decided on the little things we would do the following day as the beginning of our search. Then, he gave me water for my bath and brought me food. He sat by me while I ate and asked me for news at home. I told him that his father has married another woman and how last year, the Akansi spoiled all our cocoa. We know about that already. When I finished eating, Duayo asked me to stretch out my bones on the bed, and I did. I think I slept fine because when I opened my eyes, it was dark. He had switched on his light and there was a woman in the room. He showed me her as a friend, but I think she is the girl he wants to marry against the wishes of his people. She is as beautiful as sunrise, but she does not come from our parts. When Duayo saw that I was properly awake, he told me it was struck 8 o'clock in the evening and his friend had brought some food. The three of us ate together. Do not say, "Hey, uncle." It seems as if people do this thing in the city. A woman prepares a meal for a man and eats it with him. Yes, they do so often. My mouth could not manage the food. It was prepared from cassava and corn dough. But it was strange food all the same. I tried to do my best, and after the meal, Duayo told me we were going for a night out. It was then I remembered my bag. I told him that as it matters stood, I could not change my clothes, and I could not go out with them. He would not hear of it. It would certainly be a crime to come to the city and not go out on a Saturday night. He warned me, though, that there might not be many people, or anybody at all, when we were going who would also be in clothes, but I should not worry about it. Got me a drink, for my throat is very dry, my uncle. When we were on the street, I could not believe my eyes. The whole place was as clear as the sky. Some of these lights are very beautiful indeed. Everyone should see them. And there are so many of them. Who is paying for these lights? I asked myself. I could not say that aloud for fear that Duayo would laugh. We walked through many streets until we came to a big building where a band was playing. Duayo went to buy tickets for the three of us. Before I went in, I thought the building was big, but when I went in, I realized that the crowd in it was bigger. Some were in front of a counter buying drinks, others were dancing. Yes, that was the case, uncle. We had gone to a place where they had given a dance, but I did not know. Some people were sitting on iron chairs around iron tables. Duayo told some people to bring us a table and chairs, and they did. As soon as we sat down, Duayo asked us what we would drink. As for me, I told him lamlale, but this woman asked for beer. Do not be surprised, uncles. Yes, I remember very well. She asked for beer. It was not long before Duayo brought them. I was too surprised to drink mine. I sat with my mouth open and watched the daughter of a woman cut beer like a man. The band had stopped playing for some time, and soon they started again. Duayo and this woman went to dance. I sat there and drank my lamlale. I cannot describe how they danced. After some time, the band stopped playing, and Duayo and this woman came to sit down. I was feeling cold, and I told Duayo, "And this is no wonder. Have you not been drinking this women's drink all the time? Does it make one cold?" "Yes. Did you not know that you must drink beer?" "Yes." So, he bought me beer. When I was drinking the beer, he told me that I would be warm if I danced. You know, I cannot dance the way you people dance. And how do we dance? I think you all dance like white men, and as I do not know how that is done, people would laugh at me. Duayo started laughing. He could not contain himself. He laughed so much his woman asked him what it was all about. He said something in the white man's language, and they started laughing again. Duayo then told me that if people were dancing, They would be so busy that they would not have time to watch others dance. And also, in the city, no one cares if you dance well or not. Yes, I danced to my uncle's. He did not know anyone, that is true. My uncle didn't say that instead of concerning myself with the business for which I had gone to the city, I went dancing. Oh, if you only knew what happened at this place, you would not be saying this. I would not like to stop somewhere and tell you the end. I would rather like to put a rod under the story, as it were, clear off every little creeper in the bush. But, as we were talking about the dancing, something made Duayo turn to look behind him, where 4 women were sitting by the table. Oh, he turned his eyes quickly, screwed his face into something queer which I could not understand, and told me that if I wanted to dance, I could ask one of those women to dance with me. My uncle's eye too was very surprised when I heard that. I asked Duayo if people who did not know me would dance with me. He said, yes. I lifted my eyes to my uncle's and looked at those 4 young women sitting round a table alone. They were sitting all alone. I say, I got up. I hope I am making myself clear, my uncles, but I was trembling like water in a brass bowl. Immediately one of them saw me. She jumped up and said something in that kind of white man's language which everyone, even those who have not gone to school, speak in the city. I shook my head. She said something else in the language of the people of the place. I shook my head again. Then, I heard her ask me in Infante whether I wanted to dance with her. I replied yes. Hey, my little sister, are you asking me a question? Oh, you want me to know whether I found a mansa? I didn't know. Our uncles have asked me to tell everything that happened there. And you too. I am cooking the whole meal for you. Why do you want to lick the ladle now? Yes, I want to dance with her. I kept looking at her so much I think I was all the time stepping on her feet. I say she was as black as you and I, but her hair was very long and fell on her shoulders like that of a white woman. I did not touch it, but I saw it was very soft. Her lips, with that red paint, looked like a fresh wound. There was no space between her skin and her dress. Yes, I danced with her. When the music ended, I went back to where I was sitting. I didn't know what she told her companions about me, but I heard them laugh. It was this time that something made me realize that they were all bad women of the city. Duayo had told me that if I would dance, I would feel warm. Yet, after I danced, I was colder than before. You would think someone had poured water on me. I was unhappy thinking about these women. Have they no homes? I asked myself. Do not their mothers like them? God, we are all toiling for our 3 pence to buy something to eat. But oh, God, this is no work. When I thought of my own sister who was lost, I became a little happy because I felt that although I had not found her, she was nevertheless married to a big man and all was well with her. When they started to play the band again, I went to the women's table to ask the one with whom I had danced to dance again. But someone had gone with her already. I got one of the 2 who were still sitting there. She went with me. When we were dancing, she asked me whether it was true that I was a Fante. I replied yes. We did not speak again. When the band stopped playing, she told me to take her to where they sold things to buy her beer and cigarettes. I was wondering whether I had the money. When we were where the lights were shining brightly, something told me to look at her face. Something pulled at my heart. Young woman, is this the work you do? Young man, what work do you mean? Do you not know what work? And who are you to ask me such questions? I say, who are you? Let me tell you that any kind of work is work. You villager, who are you? I was afraid. People around were looking at us. I laid my hands on her shoulders to calm her down and she hid them away. Mansa, Mansa, do you not know me? She looked at me for a long time and started laughing. She laughed as if the laughter did not come from her stomach. Yes, as if she was hungry. I think you are my brother. Oh, my mother and my aunt. Oh, little sister, are you all weeping? As for you, women, what is there to weep about? I was sent to find a lost child. I found her, a woman. Cut me a drink. Any kind of work is work. This is what Mansa told me with a mouth that looked like clotted blood. Any kind of work is work. So, do not weep. She will come home this Christmas. My brother, cut me another drink. Any form of work is work. Is work is work. Now let us proceed to the styles of the author. Now let's have the conflict. First is man versus circumstances. It is because Mansa was born in the village, where we all know that in the village it is very hard to find a work. It is very hard to find money. It is very hard to find a job. That is why she went to the city to find a good job. And there in the city, she found a job wherein, let's just say that she sells her body to have some money or to survive. And that is why, because of poverty, because of some circumstances in life, she sacrificed herself to find some money to survive. The second one, we have man versus society. It is because the narrator experienced discrimination. He was being discriminated because he was a Fante, and that he did not know how to speak the language of the white men. He did not know how to speak the language in the city, and even his friend Duayaw laughed at his purpose why he went to the city. That is why there is a man versus society as a conflict there in the story. Now, the cultural implication. The consumerist economy and culture of the society conflicts with the narrator's sense of values and customs and demonstrates the clash between traditional societies and the increasing consumerism of the urban capitalist values, in which money is the driving force. Because we all know that in the village, there are only few lights, diba? Diba, in the story, the narrator was wondering who are paying for all these lights. And that is one cultural implication, that the consumerist economy is very much far different from the traditional society. The second one, and very evident in the story, is prostitution is common in the contemporary urban areas of Ghana. It is a means of survival in no different than any other. Then the third one, the role of women changes in this urban setting, where women are no longer valued as mothers and wives who have a productive and reproductive role in the society. Women do have a certain degree of independence that they do not have in traditional rural societies as a result of these new roles. Now let's proceed to the themes. First one, according to Victor Hugo, slavery still exists, but now it applies only to women, and its name is prostitution. Then we have poverty encourages prostitution. Now the implication of the title, which is in the cutting of a drink. Now, cut a drink, also known as tagay in the Philippines, because the narrator tells a story to her uncles while they are having a drink together. It is very common in the Philippine setting that whenever people are having their drink, they have their story time and they share their experiences with each other. The last one, we have the quotable statement. According to Mansa, any form of work is work. No matter what work you have, as long as you consider it a work and it is your means of survival, we consider it as a work. Now that's all for today, and I hope you had a great time in watching and listening to the story of Africa. And this has been your presenter, Janessa May P. Anchata, saying thank you and God bless.